I'm Jari Javana, and welcome to Young and Making It.
This is the Young and Making It podcast. This
Hello, friends. Welcome to the very first episode of Young and Making It. I'm your host, Jari Javana, owner of the branding Playbook, and I like to define myself as a multi-passionate creative entrepreneur, author, designer, foodie, and a visionary. And I'll get to that later. But I'm so excited to have you here listening to the show, especially if you are a creative entrepreneur and if you're multi-passionate. This is a show that I hope you can relate to, and I hope to have conversations with other creatives to get a different perspective on their journeys, as well as share a lot of my stories, okay? And as a disclaimer, I am not a coach, so do not expect to get a blueprint or a rule book on how to cure your multi-passionateness or explain why you're broke as a creative. I don't have those answers yet, but I'm here to start a conversation about the reality of what it means to be a creative entrepreneur or professional in whatever field that fits you. So first off, I just want to introduce myself and give a little background on my journey to getting to this point of having this podcast and also everything else. So when I first announced that I was going to have a podcast called Young and Making It, it wasn't even supposed to be anything that it is right now. I originally created an IG page last year in 2021, in like the beginning of 2021, and it was originally supposed to be a show talking about culture, young people's lives and their jobs, their careers, relationship, basically just another podcast chatting with friends and just talking about life. And I desperately wanted to have a host because I thought that there was no way I could start a podcast without having a co-host, especially with the whole topics that I wanted to have before. I couldn't just do it talking to myself, like, no. But I asked one of my friends to do it with me, and she agreed, but we just never had the time or the space to really get into it. So I just gave up with that idea. And honestly, I was very, very, very close to deleting the Instagram page for this podcast because I just thought, well, if I'm not going to have a co-host, I don't want to do this. Like, what do I need to have a podcast for? What am I going to talk about? But, I realized that I have a lot to talk about. And I didn't want to have to wait on someone else for me to, speak my truth and just talk about things that I really care about. So all in all, this is pretty much what sums up what it looks like being a multi-passionate, because in my case, I'm very, very indecisive, and I've always been this way, and I know that I'm indecisive. But I realized that my indecisiveness really all boils down to the fact that when I start something or there's an idea that I have and it doesn't turn out as planned, I basically give up. And that is not a good thing to do, because once you are like launching new things and telling people about new ideas and you keep telling them and then you never follow through, how do you know that people trust you? They probably just like, this girl ain't never serious. And I don't really want people to see me like that, because I have so much to offer to this world. Yes, to this world. And if I can never get things done, then what's the point? Like, I'm just useless at this point, and I don't want to be useless. And there was a moment in my head where it just all clicked. And I was like, you know what? I feel like I need to talk about just what it's like, partially about being indecisive, but what it's like for me being a creative and wanting to have a career talking about being creative and also just doing stuff that I love. And this is all going to bring us to the topic of the day, which is about being multi-passionate. So let's just dig in and see what that all means. All right, so if you have never heard of what a multi-passionate is, if you've never heard of this term, you are not alone, because honestly, I just learned about this a few days ago, and let me tell you, I'm going to say this a lot in this podcast. But for I guess my definition of what a multi-passionate is basically a person who finds it hard to answer the question of what do you want to be when you grow up. Basically, like, what is that one career that you want to do, that you're going to school for, that is going to define you as a person? Like, you're someone who has many different talents, many different passions and hobbies, and it's really hard for you to just make a decision on choosing one and just doing it forever. Like, the idea of you doing only one job, only having one business is disgusting to you. And that is how I feel. But really, when you think about it, there are people who have it all thought out. You know, they grow up and they're like, I want to be a doctor. I want to be a physical therapist. I want to be a singer. And that is just like the one thing that you can basically define them as. But then there's like the small percentage of people like us who have so many different talents and passions that it's hard for us to just make a decision like that. And you want to try it all before you put all your eggs into one basket. And that is what it's like being a multi-passionate person. So I want to give you guys like some examples of multi-passionate entrepreneurs. These are people that you know. So Rihanna, Oprah, even Nick Cannon, just to name a few. And I think the one person that I really do look up to because of her being multi-passionate is Rihanna. Like, we all know her as being a singer. She makes music. And even though she has not released anything in years, that's what everyone knows her for. But when she started her whole Fenty empire, I was so excited and happy to see somebody who basically decided to expand their horizons literally, and just expand their talent and their skill. And she has the makeup, the skincare, the Savage. I think she even had like shoes. I don't know if people are buying them, but you know, she's doing all sorts of different things, and I really commend her for it. And it's very inspiring for me because I know that there's so many different things that I want to offer in this world, within my career, within my businesses, and me only doing one specific thing for the rest of my life is just not going to cut it for me. But anyways, I want to give you guys a bit what am I trying to say? I'm trying to give you a brief, actually, you know what, it's not going to be brief because knowing me, I'm going to ramble. But you know what, I'm just going to talk to you guys about my journey, my creative journey of my life, and when I started to really realize that that's who I am. Because honestly, I didn't even realize that me being creative was who I was until someone told me. I just thought it was something that I just do because I'm good at doing stuff. But basically, when I was growing up, I was, well, you know what? Everyone knew me as the dancer. I was a dancer. I was doing it in middle school, high school. Like, everyone else was doing sports. I was the only one, like, in middle school, I think 6th and 7th grade. I was like the only person in my entire grade doing dance company. I did go to a small private school, so obviously there wasn't going to be that many people, but I was the only one who was passionate about being a dancer. And for the longest time, that is what I defined myself as. Now, I did not go to like dance classes or a dance school that show you, you know, the rules of dancing, you know, learning everything about ballet and stuff. Like, I didn't do all that stuff. All I knew of dancing was that I had rhythm. I knew how to do all the dances, and my dance teacher was the person who showed me how to, I don't know, she just showed me all the dance terms and whatnot, like, and I could follow choreography. And I ended up being a choreographer also. So that was my life. I was a dancer. That is what everyone knew me for. I went to college and I continued dancing. I was a part of an Afro-Caribbean dance team called Island Fusion. Shout out to y'all. And I auditioned and got on the team easily. Okay, your girl, she got it. And then I ended up being a choreographer and then a co-president. And even while I was doing all this stuff, I started to really learn different things. So yes, when someone would ask me, like, what defines me, like, who am I would say I'm a dancer. That was like the only answer, although I was also at a point where I started to do other things and explore different things, and this is when I started to really get into DIYing. So I remember freshman year, I started to do my own hair. I started doing crochet, and that was like my signature look, different crochets. I had like a blonde streak in the front of my hair, and that was like my thing. I was doing my hair all of college because first of all, I was broke, so I wasn't gonna pay nobody, and like that was just the easiest hairstyle for me to do, was doing crochet. So then after that, I think, was it sophomore year or junior year? I don't know. It's been a while now. But I think my sophomore year is when I was like, I want to start making jewelry, because I was starting to see a lot of people on Instagram with their African attire, and I was like, I want to create accessories for, I wanted to create Afrocentric accessories. Let me just tell you what it was. And I created a business, quote unquote, called Javana Designs. This was the original Javana Designs. If you know me from YouTube or just in life in general, you know that my business is called Javana Designs. But I originally was making the jewelry, and I had a huge idea for like what I wanted to do. So jewelry, accessories. I wanted to eventually expand to clothing, to like baby clothes, to home decor. Like I wanted it to be a one-stop shop. When you went to my website, you can get everything. Until I realized that I had to do all of it by myself, and I was like, oh, I can't do this. And then also, I was using my sewing machine to make like fabric chokers, and when I was testing out how to make clothes and stuff like that, and then I didn't know how to really use this sewing machine as well as I thought I could. And then every time I had an issue with the sewing machine, it just discouraged me, and I was like, you know what? I cannot do this. What? I don't know how to do this stuff, and that means now I have to source like someone else to sew for me and stuff like that. And then that slowly started to phase out. Even when I was selling jewelry, I was like repainting wood pieces that I would get off of Etsy, and my friends would be wearing it. Everyone was rocking it, which was great, but the job was just so tedious. Making jewelry is it's so tedious. And especially I also used to do waist beads. What I'm telling you guys, my mind was just all over the place. I wanted to do everything, literally everything. And I was just like, my mind was thinking way ahead of what I actually could do in the moment. So then basically I sold some jewelry, but it wasn't that much, and then I gave up on it. Then I started, by the end of that year, I started to learn how to paint. Mind you, when I was in high school, in art classes, I didn't really, I was decent, but I wasn't all that good. But I saw like one drawing of like a black girl with huge puffs. I remember this very vividly, and I was like, I want to paint this. So then I went to Michael's or whatever craft store it was. I got the paints. I watched all the YouTube videos on how to paint, and I like recreated it and turned it into my own thing. And then literally everyone was like, this is amazing. You did a great job. So then I started to do more paintings. And then I was learning how to shade better, and like I like, honestly, if I would have stuck to continuing to do it, because I used to take like hours of a day to finish it all in one day, because I was just like so into it. I'm like, I can't stop, I can't stop. But if I really would have stuck to doing it, I would be like amazing now. I probably would be like really good at making paintings really realistic. Like my work, they were getting realistic, but they just wasn't to that point. You know, when you see some, like these artists on Instagram or TikTok, and they're doing their paintings and they look like a real picture, like I wasn't that level, but I was getting close. I was trying. But then that eventually started to phase out too. I mean, I was doing that for like 2 years or so, and that was fine. It was just something I was doing for fun. Mind you, I started a Instagram page for it, for my paintings, because I just wanted people to see it. But then I eventually deleted that page, because I already have all of those paintings still, and I'm like, what do I need to have this page up here for? So that ended sadly. So then after that, another thing, I wanted to do skincare. Now this is junior year. Junior year. Oh gosh. No, it's not junior year. It's senior year of college. I started to really do research on doing skincare. So I used to practice making like body butters and stuff like that. But my whole thing was, I didn't want to be like other people, because a lot of black girls, hate to say it, but everybody was making body butter. Like everybody. And I just wanted to be different. So like I even wanted to apply for Formula Botanica. I think that's what it's called, which is basically a school that teaches you how to formulate skincare products. And I didn't do that. I'm glad I didn't, because I didn't continue doing that. But basically, after senior year, after I graduated, I started to really focus on doing it. And then in 2020, I was about to say last year, it's been 2 years, y'all. But in 2020, I finally launched my business called Unconventional Body Care. And trust me, I toyed a lot with different names, and I was just like, I wanted it to be different, so I called it Unconventional. And I was trying so hard to make it so different. I still was trying to kind of make body butters, but it didn't really turn out as well as I wanted to. And even so, what I originally wanted to do with that skincare business, I couldn't do it because I didn't have enough money for the ingredients. And skincare, if you haven't done it, they're really expensive for ingredients, and especially if you're trying to make products that are supposed to help with skin conditions like hyperpigmentation or just anything like that. Those ingredients are so expensive. So what I originally was trying to do, I couldn't do it because I couldn't pay for it. And also, I wasn't patient enough to wait for the testing time to see like if the product actually worked. So I started to do random things like making body butter, not body meringues, which were basically body lotions or body creams, and I just whipped them. And then I did body scrubs, and actually the the only one that's super high on my YouTube channel for Young and Making It TV. It has over 20,000 views, and a lot of people to this day still ask me like questions about making skincare, and I be trying so hard to be like, okay, yeah, just do this, but I'm starting to forget. I don't know what's happening anymore, and they ask me all these questions that I can't really answer. So I mean, that was that. So eventually I shut that down. And you can see a pattern of me starting things and starting a business and then stopping it because I got bored or I realized that it's not really what I want to do. But what had happened was at the end of 2020, literally on New Year's Eve, I had a revelation about my life and about what I really wanted from my life. and it was not to be working for anybody else. But in short, my ultimate goal is to create a platform and or a center slash organization or something that's going to help young entrepreneurs learn how to monetize their talents and basically tell people who don't believe in a creative mind or a creative person that they can't make money based off of their talents. And I don't want that to be a thing anymore, and I want to change that stigma within the Black and brown community, and especially with young people. But I'll talk about this later on. As this podcast progresses, we'll hear a little bit more, and hopefully, one of you listeners or more of you listeners will be in support and want to, help out with this journey. But basically, I just want to be able to make a real impact on people like me, like you, and give us a space to really embrace who we are and not let other people basically define who we are supposed to be because they want us to only do one thing in our lives, which is very unfair. But going back to my whole journey story, after I had that revelation, I was like, I want to help young entrepreneurs, new entrepreneurs, learn how to brand themselves and to just give them tools that will help them on their journey of owning a small business. So this is where the branding playbook comes in. This is where quote unquote Javanna Designs comes in, because I originally went back to the Javanna Designs page and just like rebranded it to do this work on branding. And what had happened was I think for about 6 months, about 8 months, when I decided to leave the skincare line and focus on this. Now this is in 2021. With Javanna Designs, I was like, okay, I'm gonna make custom packaging, custom t-shirts, just a whole bunch of custom made products for small business owners. And that was the original goal, and it still is, but it started to shift because I'm still trying to formulate how I really wanted to be perceived. And one of the biggest things that I needed to do was actually in August of 2021, y'all, I'm over here thinking like, what year are we in? But in the end of August, I changed the name from Javanna Designs to the Branding Playbook, because I was basically talking about branding and stuff, but no one knew how to spell Javanna Designs, and I didn't like spelling it out for people either. So I was like, okay, let me change it. And I want a business name that's going to resonate with people and that it's easy for them to spell, it's easy for them to recognize. So I'm glad I did that, because I feel really good about changing the name and making sure that I stay on track with what I want my business to be. And also, when it was still Javanna Designs, a lot of people kept on telling me, oh, you should make this, you should do like custom party favors and doing all these different things. And when I would tell people, I'm like, no, my business is supposed to, help other businesses. And they're just like, okay, but you got to start from somewhere. And I'm just like, no, like, I just kept feeling like people kept on telling me what I should do, and it was steering me away from what the original goal of the business was. So I'm glad I changed the name once again, because I just felt so like displaced and very unorganized. But now with the Branding Playbook, if you are a new business owner and you need help with just the basic things of really starting your business and branding your business, I can help you with that. And I'm also starting a digital playbook series. It's called the Branding Playbook series, where I provide information on different aspects of starting a business. So recently I launched a business organizing binder inserts. It sounds weird, but you can customize it on Canva based on whatever your brand is and how you want your aesthetic to look. But it has 5 different categories. So it has your account, your business overview, your product descriptions, your supplier information, your legal document. It just basically helps you organize all the important information that you need for your business, because it's very easy for you to have things in different places and have it on your computer. It has one thing printed out, and it just keeps you on track when you can just go to a binder and have it all there for you. So I created that, and it's only $5. So if you want it, you can go to thebrandingpb.com and get yours. Trust me, it's changed my life, because I needed this and I didn't know where to find it, because other people were just giving you all sorts of too many different things, and I just wanted something that was simple that would help me keep myself organized. But with that being said, that's basically like the ending of this entire journey of mine with my many different passions, because I just like too many different things, and I'm just trying to figure out what really sticks. But I'm back to doing this podcast because I really wanted to be able to share my stories and hopefully hear from you guys too about what you think and what your journey is too, because I know I cannot be the only one who just be all over the place when trying to figure out what they are as a person. And there is still so much more that I have left out, but that is what this podcast is for. I want to be telling you guys about it anyways, so that's fine. So all in all, my goal for this year is to finish everything that I start, or at least focus on what really matters to me that will lead me to my ultimate career goals, which is to have my empire that helps young creatives perfect their crafts and talents and turn it into a business. And also to show all those people that doubt us that we can be successful. But I realized that everything leading up to this moment made me realize that I have to be more strategic about everything I do. And that's going to be another topic for another day, because that is some things that we need to work on, right? We need to work on staying on track and being intentional about everything we do with our creative pursuits. So with that being said, let's move on to our next segment called The Biz.
I see it with your little business.
Little business, I'm giving BBE big business energy.
All right, so for this segment, I'm just going to be shouting out to different businesses, influencers, organizations, anyone that I feel like deserves a shout out, or if you want to get a shout out, you can just send me an email at youngandmakingitpod@gmail.com or send me a DM. And if I, like what you have to say, then I'll shout you out. And if it also relates to the episode, then definitely will be shouting you out. But I wanted to give the shout out to Marie Forleo for coining the term MultiPassionate. Now, actually, I don't know if she's the one who created this word, but she's the one who's turned this into a movement. She supports creatives and entrepreneurs with multiple skill sets, etc. So if you want to hear more about her and what she talks about, you can find her on YouTube at Marie TV. And she also has a podcast called the Marie Forleo Podcast that you can listen to on all the different podcast platforms, as you know. But honestly, she was an inspiration for me even starting to do this podcast, or actually launching it, because I was watching one of her YouTube videos and she was talking about how she has many different passions and talents and she just couldn't choose one thing, and that she's a multi-passionate, and that's the term for people like us, people like me. And that has completely changed my life. It changed my outlook on who I am and how I want to present myself. And I'm very grateful that I found her. I didn't even know how I found her YouTube channel, but it came across me at the right time, and I'm very grateful. So check her out at Marie Forleo, Forleo. And with that being said, to give a quick recap, I explained to you guys about what a multi-passionate person is and gave you the example of the very illustrious and beautiful Rihanna. I gave you guys a brief backstory about my life so you guys know who I am and you can understand my personality. And also for you guys to check out Marie Forleo on YouTube to get more tips on how to deal with being a multi-passionate. So I really hope that you guys enjoyed this podcast. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at Young and Making It Pod. I'm really trying to grow this Instagram page, so please follow me, okay? Or you can also follow my personal page at Jari Javana. The spelling will be in the show notes because I know you guys cannot spell that. Trust me, people in my own family can't even spell my name. And tell a fellow creative friend about this podcast. And if you would like to be a guest or if you have topic suggestions, please email me at youngandmakingitpod@gmail.com and be sure to put in the subject bar guest inquiry or topic suggestions or whatever else you want to tell me, okay? Just say in the subject bar. And I'd also love for you guys to go to Apple Podcasts or iTunes and leave me a review to let me know how you like this podcast. And hopefully that is something that you can relate to and you want to hear more of. It will really help this podcast grow. And that is finally it for today's episode. Remember, everything that you dream about can be real. There are no limits to your creativity. See y'all next time. Bye.